Hi, good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for the Economic Alliance LinkedIn session. I'm Jamie Toledo, and I'm the Economic Development Relationship Manager for the EA for short. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Economic Alliance, our mission here is to drive economic growth and to help our businesses succeed. So we're trying these little mini sessions, if you will, snapshots of things that are topics of importance in our LinkedIn Live sessions. So with that, I'll get started. I will first mention that we were hoping to have Power Up with Claire Simmons today, talking about renewable energy. She unfortunately could not join us, as is the case sometimes with live events. So we will be pivoting, as the last couple of years have shown us well to do. And we're going to talk about a topic that's related to renewable energy, and that is ESG reporting. So what is it? Why is it important? And where do you start? So with that, I'm going to don my Harry Carey glasses. I need these for my notes, and we'll dive in. So ESG reporting, what is it? So most of you are probably familiar with the E part of that, and that's environmental, but it's environmental, social, and governance reporting. This right now is a voluntary process where companies can show their commitments, their strategies, their qualitative and quantitative measurements towards any of the larger three buckets, which is the ESG part. E stands for environmental, and we'll dive into these buckets in a second. Environmental, social is the S, and G is governance. So what is in there? Well, in your environmental bucket, you have climate change initiatives. How are you addressing carbon emission reduction, your energy use, and your water use? In the social bucket, you've got human rights. You have health and safety for your product or your service. You might also have data protection, cybersecurity, human capital management, and then DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. And then finally, in the governance bucket, you might have things such as your board diversity makeup, business ethics, tax transparency can be one of the things that's in reporting, and also lobbying. So that's a really large scope of information and encompasses a lot for companies. So why is this important if it's not mandatory? Well, on the international and on the US scene, it's becoming more important. And while it's not mandatory, there are proposals out there. So for example, March of this year, the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, proposed that any publicly traded companies are reporting out with ESG reports. One of the reasons for that is just transparency. And as an investor, they want to know, okay, what are you doing in these areas? And does that sound like it's a viable investment for my customer? So that's one of the things, or one of the reasons why it's important. The other one is this is important to your potential employees. So as a talent attraction kind of aspect, your employees are looking for this. Most of you are familiar with, Tom's shoe wear, some things that my 27-year-old likes to buy, that she knows that the company's being responsible, whether that's from an environmental perspective or social perspective. We want to know, how are you making a difference in these three buckets? And then finally, your customers are being asked to do this. So about 90% right now, the Fortune 500 companies are reporting ESG reports. So with that, you might find that future forward, as a second or third tier contractor or working with them, they may be asking you to report on what you're doing so they can filter that all the way up to the top and show a holistic picture on what's happening with ESG efforts. So that's why it's important. Well, how do you get started? There's a lot out there, and there are so many consultants that can help you. After this is over, I will pass along a few of those in the chat or in the post that you can reference. But here's just kind of a roadwork of how you can get started. So I would say first and foremost, research, get out there and see what other like companies are doing in this area. A lot of information out there right now in any of those three buckets that you can reference. And then benchmark. So who's got the best practice out there? One for reporting purposes that is probably more well known is Global Reporting Initiative, so GRI. Then figure out your framework. So not unlike strategic planning, figure out what kind of framework you want to work with. And you can start with baby steps. Maybe just start with one effort in each of those buckets that you want to make transparent and visible to the world. But from there, once you decide what you're going to be working on, you're going to have to build a culture around it. So what does that look like? How can that be sustainable? What are your KPIs, your key performance indicators, both on a qualitative and quantitative measurement? You can pull up some sample reports out there. If you just Google ESG reporting, there are some available that you can look at for free. And then it will be important that your reporting is timely and that it's accurate and it's available. So transparency, again, through this whole process is kind of the key on all of it. And then I would say, after all that, share it. It's a great marketing tool. People are looking for this. They want to know what you're doing to help the environment, to help social equity. How are you policing your processes and procedures? What are your business ethics? So it's great marketing information. So this is a really, really quick snapshot of ESG reporting. I said a lot in a small amount of time, but basically the objective is to get you thinking about it and get you starting into building it into your strategic process, and then just be ready for the future. So with that, I'll let you get back to lunch. Thank you again for joining me today, and keep looking forward. Thanks.